This could potentially be my personal biggest month. I think it's very easy to say. It's going to be easy for me to reject Google, reject Facebook, but it's easier said than done. The process is just super, super messy. If the money is the most important thing for you, you should just stop interviewing with my client right now. Oh, not again. Happy Tuesday, and welcome back to yet again another week in the life video of what I do every single week as a recruiter in the technology industry. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Preston. Happy to have you here. Coming into this week, we had a pretty jam-packed Monday. Looking at my calendar, we had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 interviews. The majority of them have gone well. 1 or 2 rejected and passed, which is not obviously a great feeling, but I definitely have worked really, really hard to make sure we have plan B and plan C to keep that pipeline full. Coming up into today, I actually have a short day, have to run into DC to run a few errands, but talking to 5 amazing director of product candidates for my healthcare client. Already submitted 3 of them. I'm anticipating the other remaining 2 should be good. So that could be 5 really strong candidates for my clients, which is obviously really, really good position to be in. And then we have a handful of really good interviews happening today. I think we have about 4, but feeling good, was able to really enjoy Valentine's Day yesterday, had a wonderful weekend. I'm just excited to see where this day goes and where this week goes. And if you're as excited as I am, please take a second and please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. It really, really means a lot, and it really gives me the necessary energy and focus needed to just do my best as a recruiter, working with awesome clients and candidates all day, all week long. So would really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't done so, don't forget to check out our free Discord community in the description box below. If you want to reach out to me, network with other great recruiters, talent acquisition professionals, headhunters, you're just excited about the space, or you just want to find another really, really cool environment to network and meet other like-minded individuals, feel free to check it out. But enough said, got a couple calls starting right now, and let's see where the week takes us. Let's do it. Okay, so if you haven't seen last week's video, please check it out. But if you've seen it, you know that we're working with a pretty awesome kind of global leader in aviation technology. And I'm working with the head of product, and just the process is just super, super messy. Interview stages are being removed, being added, case studies are being added without us knowing, really kind of making the whole candidate experience very, very rocky, which is obviously, as you know, really important to me because I want to make sure that all candidates have a positive experience, not only with me, but working specifically with our clients. And whether or not they go through and get the job, I want them to still be able to walk away with a smile on their face and just overall having a really good positive experience. So it was just quite a rigmarole of a circus last week. We're working multiple roles, and it doesn't really seem clear exactly who is interviewing, how the coordinating and scheduling is going. Everything that I went over with my client on the first intake call, that's completely been thrown away to the garbage trash. So I'm now having to play catch up and now trying to do my best to kind of reach out directly to the stakeholders so that we can kind of create structured, streamlined processes for all the roles that we're working, so that if candidates do get in, they don't get lost, we don't lose them, they don't plateau or lose speed or momentum, and ultimately get another job. We actually heard some great news. One of my candidates actually for this client yesterday thought she did a horrible job on the interview, but then I heard back from the client saying that they loved her. So I don't exactly know what happens. Typically in this situation, the candidate, depending on how bad it is, I still have yet to talk to her, probably it would not be that interested to continue, but I'm gonna try my best to get her on the phone, re-energize her, re-pitch her, paint the whole vision, and just kind of let her know that, hey, I know you're actively interviewing. The worst thing that you can do is just leave prematurely. I know that she's excited about the idea. She's excited about the concept and mission. I'm not exactly sure what about the interview yesterday went really badly. So I had to do a little detective digging with her and just to see what's going on and how she's honestly feeling. But if I can help her stay in the game, they want to move forward and have her talk to 3 other people. And after that, it's done. It's an offer. So why prematurely quit when you can just go through the process, especially if it's not a long one, get an offer, and then, take it or leave it, or use that offer to make your other offers more competitive. So that's really, really good news. But I also just finished a video call with another kind of colleague of my head of product who is going to basically play the role behind the scenes of helping all interviews just happen really, really well, following up with hiring managers, scheduling, coordinating if needed. Like, it was just music to my ears. A lot of times when you work with organizations that don't have a structured recruiting process or HR team, a lot of that mundane kind of simple recruiting coordinating I have to also do as well, which takes up a lot of my time. It's kind of funny because my client is a massive company, and the fact that like even now their whole recruiting process is so fragmented, not the best, but I'm really happy to say that someone is willing and open to help me on their end so that I can focus on what I do best, building the pipeline of qualified candidates so that we can drive momentum throughout the process and eventually help them hire a lot of people. So I feel a lot more positive about the situation. I really want to continue to source product managers, analytics, data science people as fast as possible. I'm not going to be able to do it as much as I would like today because I have to leave in a couple hours, but that's really going to be my main focus. Was able to also pick up like a brand new strategy lead role with our dental tech client last week. I already have the first submission yesterday. Founder got back saying he wants to chat with them tomorrow. So one and done. I love picking up roles with companies and then our first candidate just nails it on the head. It's best use of everyone's time. The client is really impressed with us. The candidate is really impressed and loves the experience because we just chatted with them, and now literally the next day he has an interview, and it just makes us really, really happy because we're doing our jobs really well and just providing value to everyone. So I'm gonna focus on finishing these other 2 calls today. I got almost like 9 interviews tomorrow, which is obviously awesome momentum, but I just want more. I want to be able to have more interviews on my calendar tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, so that we can finish this week off strong. As you know, this is midway here in February. This could potentially be my personal biggest month. I haven't done a deal yet, so I'm really, really, really doing my best to push, hoping we can at least pop another 1 or 2. That'd be absolutely awesome. So a couple more calls, and then we'll see where the week takes us.
I think working with a great manager is very, very important to me, and I think she is the right leader that I want to follow. So I do hope everything else will work out too. But then so far I haven't heard anything back from her. I guess it's, it's just after one day of the initial conversation, but I will definitely keep you posted.
Let's go. This is interesting. So I just did a process call with the candidate that was actually sent to us by one of our partners. I talked about him before, but his name is Nihal. If you're watching, shout out to you. But he reached out to me initially without any recruiting experience, but then he was able to really understand which positions we're hiring for and then really share multiple resumes that just nailed it on the dot. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. We have to work together. We actually closed a deal together, and now we're working on performance marketing director together, and this is his candidate. How it works is, if everything works out well, we place her successfully, then I'm more than happy to split the commission with him. This is another way if you're recruiting, if you're just getting into it, if you want to work with me, you want to partner with us in a lot of different ways, this is the easiest way to do it. But really, really pay attention in terms of which positions that we're working and try to do your best and just share profiles that match it to a T instead of, just sending me random people, which obviously it's not going to be the best use of any of our times. But anyway, this is exciting because this is with one of my clients. The hiring manager of one of my clients is a candidate I placed last year. She's now the head of growth, the CMO, and she's looking for someone to report directly to her, performance marketing director. Opened this up with Nihal. This is his first candidate that he sent over, and he hit it off the nail. This woman is amazing. Worked at so many top direct consumer e-commerce brands, and I just wanted to kind of sync up with her to establish my relationship with her, but more importantly to understand and go over some of the basic important points I need to know over, like citizenship status or salary, where she is in other processes. Because of her background, I'm not surprised that she's interviewing many other companies. It's going to be a tough one if she does get to the offer round here. Ideally, she's looking for 180, but other companies are probably gonna be coming in between 180 to 200. So my client is going to have to stretch if they want to continue working with her. Even though she's in process with several other companies, she also just loves my hiring manager and loves the client. So I think we're really, really good. As long as every single stage continues to be positive with a good experience, then we can push this forward. So I'm going to now send an email back to my client, giving them my high-level summary of this candidate, and then hopefully we can push that she can kind of move to the next round as soon as possible. But this is awesome. This can potentially be another placement that Nihal and I can do together, and just up and running. And I just love finding amazing talent like this candidate and trying to do what we can to provide value and finding her next job where she'll just be a rock star and just crush it. So happy Wednesday. I have almost 20 calls. I'm already late for a call right now. My voice is gonna be shot by the end of today, but we have 10 interviews today, 20 candidate calls. I don't know how I'm gonna survive. Had a quick errand run yesterday, worked out of a WeWork, which is great. You can book a room out by the hour, it's super cheap. But now back at home, hunkering down, and I just gotta do this next call, but so far so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the role. It seems like they have a good leadership team. I'm in sort of like final stages with a couple of other companies. I don't think, so hopefully everything will kind of be wrapping up like middle of next week. So that's, I just asked if we could kind of get those scheduled. But yeah, no, I really love the people that I've spoken to, and I'm like very excited about the role.
You said that you ideally be looking for 200 or higher. Is that still correct in light of you talking to other companies as well?
Yeah, that's still correct.
Okay, gotcha. And then
Yep.
if everything goes well, like have you thought of like a potential like start date for yourself?
I could start pretty immediately.
And let's say like the salary was, for example, or the comp is much higher than 200 salary. Is that an automatic deal breaker?
No, it's I think a lot of, to me, it's not only about the compensation, it's about the team, it's about a bunch of different factors. So it's definitely not an automatic.
Oh man, this is my candidate who's in process with my e-commerce client for head of product. It's a massive position, but she's also in process with many other companies right now. Some are adjacent in a similar industry. Others are like probably more in the healthcare or software space. She's looking for 200 plus, but her background is so really good. I think all these other offers are gonna come in a lot higher. But I mean, she sounded positive. You heard what she said. She loves the team, loves the problems that they're focused on, really kind of is more curious to learn more about their culture and everything. But in terms of like what she's done, what she's looking to do, the space that she is familiar with, it kind of checks off all the boxes. But man, it's like, this is gonna be tough. It sounds like she is interviewing maybe at 3, 4, 5 other companies. I don't know the exact number. Don't even have the exact name for these companies. So it's gonna be tight, and it's looking like all the parallel processes are probably gonna culminate by next week. So hopefully by then we should have a decision, but I really want to make sure I stay on top of her, but not be too aggressive, and just get ready for a bidding war or just final outstanding discussions we're gonna have to have post-offer, knock on wood if we get there, about terms and salary negotiations and all that. It's gonna be a doozy, but all in all, I think it's good news. I'm gonna have to sync up and just relay this back with my client because I know they're really excited about her. What I'm thinking right now is we just need to accelerate her process as fast as possible. They need to come out and be willing to stretch for the salary because all these other offers will come much higher, and just want to convey the good news that she is at the end of the day still very much engaged and excited. So, but it sounds like she still has several more stages to go through. It's a little bit more work. I'm expecting it to take a little bit longer than these other companies. So if there is an opportunity to fast track her, I'm sure she'll appreciate that, and it'll help my client remain competitive in this race to hopefully hire her. So good news, but oh my God, in this market, it's like you find one person that you like, they're talking to like 5 other companies. And so it's great, not great, gotta stay positive and see what we can do. As you know, she is talking to many other companies. I don't know the exact number, but like it sounds like she's expecting final rounds offers around the same time as you guys, so probably by next week. Number one, I think if you guys like her, I would totally recommend try to find ways to get her across the finish line as fast as possible, just to kind of remain competitive. She's still looking for 200 or higher on salary. I would not be surprised if these others offers come a little bit north of that. It sounds like she's talking to a couple other adjacent D2C e-com companies, as well as a couple other more software SaaS companies. Like she mentioned, there's one in the healthcare space. So it's quite a variety. Now, the good news is that she just very much loved talking to every single person on the team. She got along with everybody. She is very excited about like the problems that she can help solve or attack. All right, so I just got off the phone with the lead recruiter at my client, just giving him the lowdown of my candidate. I really conveyed to him that everything was going well, everything looks great, no real clear red flags aside from wanting to learn more about the culture. And because my candidate is woman, it's really important for her to be able to kind of talk to other women on the team. Everyone has been men. It's obviously not a deal breaker for her, but you know, she wants to kind of get different perspectives. And that's definitely something that she'll be able to chat with. I think the head of data analytics, the head of HR are both women, and apparently they're just very strong interviewers. So hopefully they're able to really answer all of my candidates' questions and really convey that picture and sell the opportunity well. And my candidate can finish strong. I can anticipate a situation where she'll have a lot more questions once the offer comes out and the other offers come out. So we'll just have to be ready and nimble and open-minded to handle that situation. Right now, she only has one more last series of conversations to go. One of the founders is traveling. They're doing what they can to kind of get her on the books as soon as possible, because with these other offers terminating or culminating next week, we want to make sure that if she starts getting offers, that my client can come out with an offer, if not in the beginning or somewhere during that process, to remain competitive, so that now my candidate can think of, do I have any other concerns or questions about terms, rather than I need to wait 5 more days while I'm juggling multiple offers for this other company to get back to me. I don't want my client to be in this situation. So it's important for me to convey the timeline. But moving forward, it's now going to be important for me to be alert, for me to have strong relationships both with my candidate and my client. Any changes or any updates with my candidate, I asked her to kind of relay it to me, but also relay it directly to the company. And anything obviously the company wants to run back, I asked them to kind of relay it to me too. So it's very, very important we all stay on the same page, remain consistent and transparent with each other, so that we can hopefully get to a smooth close here, a smooth finish, and at least a situation where we can have like honest communications about the offer and terms, and giving the company opportunities to continue to sell themselves, so that they can just hopefully win her over to these other companies. And I'm suspecting, because of her background, a lot of these other companies are probably much larger, much more well-known in terms of brand recognition. My client is starting to be more well-known, but they're not like a Casper. They're not like a Glossier or a Goop or Away or Allbirds. So we'll see what happens. I'm remaining cautiously optimistic here, but I do know that closing this candidate will be particularly not an easy feat. So we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, it went well. We went over 30 minutes, kind of just talking. You know that I've been talking to Amazon and Adobe and Amazon more frequently. You know, their comp is pretty high. As you know, it's Amazon. I was wondering kind of what the wiggle room was and kind of what the full benefits package of this role looked like. I mean,
now, my first question to you is, are you expecting them to like compete against Amazon and Adobe? Because a lot of companies in the world can't. So are you looking for like the highest cash offer? Because if you are, I don't think they can compete.
I agree. I don't think they can compete, but I'm looking at like kind of a broader spectrum.
I think with salary, I know that you initially provided 150 or higher. I think they can obviously stretch for the right person.
I mean, total comp, I was like hoping to be closer to like the 200 range.
They're trying not to be super rigid with salary. They really just want to find the best person for the role. But I think they can certainly come up higher in salary. But I know that like positions compared to positions, like you expressed, like you really kind of like that whole work closely with the SaaS product, but within an agency environment. And I think if you were to kind of, there's one thing about Adobe or Amazon, they're both pure in-house positions, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So I think there is a little apples and oranges here. I know that obviously like Amazon and Adobe, yes, like they're going to come out with very, very strong packages if you make an offer. But then, you know, not everyone wants to work at Amazon or Adobe either, right? These are like giant companies to work at. So we can certainly get the salary up. And I think with the bonus and everything, we can get you close, if not hit 2. But I definitely appreciate you being transparent with me, because at the end of the day, like I want to be there for you and go to bat for you as much as possible. All right, so I just got off the phone with a really talented product designer who just knocked out his first interview with my client in ADTECH just out of the park. I like to be as transparent as possible, and I tell my candidates straight up, if if you're looking for the highest cash offer, pound for pound, you're probably gonna not be able to find a lot of companies that can compete with Adobe, Amazon, Facebook's, Google's of the world. But if you're looking for a competitive offer, but it also comes with other really important aspects that you're looking for in your next job, like the ability to wear multiple hats, work with cross-functional teams, work on cross-functional projects, be able to have true amount of impact, work directly with high-level leadership, having the ability to kind of work on and maybe pivot different types of projects or grow within the organization, smaller companies, you have a better chance of doing that. So when you mentioned that to me, I told them that, hey, like our client can definitely move a little bit on the salary. I know that when he and I first initially spoke, I went over a couple of things that he conveyed to me that were really, really important. And I reconveyed it to him that, what my client can offer is exactly what he's looking for. Not to mention, he just had a chat with his potential hiring manager and they got along swimmingly well. So all in all, like they had a really, really good first chat. I think the fact that he was able to connect with his hiring manager so well, I think is super, super strong. I think that's definitely something I can really continue to focus on when I continue to talk to my candidate throughout the process. And then it seems like next steps, my client would want him to talk to other members of the team just to kind of learn more and hopefully we can push this forward. But I also know that if you're interviewing with these bigger companies, they go pretty slow or their interview process is pretty lengthy. So what I like to do and in terms of like trying to get my candidate as competitive as possible is I really like to push my clients to interview these candidates as fast as possible. And then we fight for them and we not only hit market, but we offer an above market ask. That's the only saving grace, just numbers wise, completely ignoring all the other positive benefits you should work at a company, like the leadership, the culture, etc. If you just were to focus on the number, that is the best thing that you can do so that if a person is in process with these big companies, but they're not gonna end process for at least another couple of weeks, couple months, the best thing is give them a strongest offer right now so that they have to now decide like what's the most important thing. You never want to be kind of going along the same vein as a Google or Facebook and then offer something significantly worse. Then you're just not competitive. Just kind of little things like that I can kind of help my company, help the companies I work with just stand out a little bit and just give them a fighting chance. There's been a handful of people that I was able to get away from Google or Facebook because, I was able to just frankly remind them what is the most important thing for them. And it's very easy to forget that when you get a huge offer and you see the numbers. Numbers can easily have people just forget and have horrible memory. So if you're an agency recruiter or independent recruiter, you're working with a candidate in the same situation, always listen first and foremost to what they really, really want, and then remind them, do a full circle on what they're actually looking for, what your current company can offer them as opposed to anyone else, and then really, really be crystal clear on top of that, especially when they're in process with all these other bigger companies. So hope that helps, but I have little hope with my candidate. Hope he does well. And we'll see what happens. Oh my gosh, it is almost 5 p.m. here on a Wednesday. Just finished 20-something candidate calls and just got off a Zoom call with a new head of recruiting at my mission-oriented fintech startup that I worked with over the years. The whole purpose of this call was for me to really establish relationship and rapport. She just joined the company about several months ago, so it's me getting to know her, vice versa, and me understanding exactly like what are the priority positions that they need help with, what exactly is the flow, trying to get some more up-to-date information about how big the company is right now, are they using an ADTECH system, and just basically starting back from square one. Because it's a new person, just want to make sure that I don't step on her toes and go around her back, working with the hiring managers and founders, which is what we did before. And so it's all about just, introducing ourselves and then just trying to discuss the best way moving forward in terms of our working relationship. And they're hiring engineers 100% remote across the nation, looking for mid-level to senior. Their stack specifically is in JavaScript, Vue, TypeScript, React, Node. That's great, but they're also open to talking to folks who are using any modern backend languages, full stack or backend. And they're kind of, I think, capping their role at 180, 185. They do offer significant equity. They do also have celebrity invested into them as well. And just all around building an awesome mission-oriented product. And it's always good to see like a mission-oriented, feel-good product in the fintech space. I think we definitely need more of that. But it was a successful call. We have a lot of engineer kind of searches going on. So people that are coming in, if they're a good fit, I will immediately submit them here. Just giving another opportunity to our engineers if they're excited. And you know, that just helps us increase the probability of placing an engineer when they come in here, as we're just, you know, working with a lot of really, really great companies, many of them mission oriented. So got the full specs here. She gave me access to the ATS system greenhouse, and we're good to go. But as of right now, we still have 3 more interviews happening today. Still have to wait back from a lot of the interviews that happened earlier. Some of them came in saying that they went well. So far we have 3 interviews scheduled tomorrow, another 2 on Friday. Sorry, 4 interviews tomorrow. So it's just been an action-packed, and this is the second to the last full week of February. Still no offers yet. So still just doing whatever I can to kind of push, condensing ongoing kind of recruiting and hiring processes, trying to build pipelines, getting feedback as fast as possible, pushing when I can tactfully and respectfully a lot of our hiring managers and clients to get feedback with really, really good candidates who are also in process with other companies. So it's been a tough week so far, a lot of work, but so far it's been great. Really, really felt like I put in a lot of productive work today, and just hoping to kind of crack another offer. And I'm searching and I'm trying to stay focused. We got a lot simmering in the fires right now, but we'll see what happens. But happy that I made it alive to 5 p.m. Boy, am I tired. Still got outstanding emails and agreements to do, and just still have 3 more interviews to follow up on. Hopefully they go well.
But yeah, I thought the whole process was really good, and I was happy that actually I went into the office for the on-site as opposed to just having it virtually. So I thought that was a good addition, just so that I could meet the team.
Fantastic. And then they said that basically they'll just get back to you with end of the week. Is that what he said?
Yeah, I'm in the final round of a couple different companies now.
Gotcha. Are they all startups? Are they small companies, big companies?
A mix of both. I have like a couple small companies with Gemini, but I'm also interviewing at Google, Bloomberg, Amazon, and Coinbase. Yeah, so honestly, I really like the team, and I think the opportunity to work there would be great. The only thing that I need to do is just compare the other compensations that would be offered.
But if you're looking for, everything beyond that, like growth, impact, startup vibe, ownership, these are things that you can get not necessarily at big companies like Gemini, Google, Bloomberg, and Amazon. So I want to ask you, if you got a bigger offer, is that immediately kind of disqualification?
Yeah, so it's not completely based off of the salary, the base salary. I definitely am interested to hear if they do their whole package with RSUs and if I get equity with the main companies. So I guess there is still a lot of elements, but I definitely would want to just make sure I'm getting a fair compensation.
Oh, not again. So this is with my same client, my HR tech, where we lost an engineer last month because they were applying in process with Google. And here we are again. I just heard back from an HR client that they interviewed with a software engineer today. I just heard back that it went really, really well and they want to move forward into an offer tomorrow. But before that happened, I want to be proactive and sync up with my candidate just to see if everything's aligned with the salary. And now he's telling me he's in process not only with Google again, but with Bloomberg and Amazon and Gemini and all these companies, Coinbase, that I do know offer a ridiculous amount of cash. And so there's no way in heck will my client be able to compete. And so we lost the engineer last month. Now I have a strong feeling we're gonna lose this one again. There's no way, whether it's base or total comp, my client can compete, especially after them reevaluating their salary bands internal to match with the big kind of billion-dollar company they're incubated in. Unfortunately, that company doesn't really pay super market or above market like many other companies. And so it's gonna be a complete sucker punch if we can lose 2 in a row, which is not gonna be ideal. When I first talked to him, he wasn't interviewing anywhere else. He wanted 140. I heard back from my client saying, hey, we're gonna offer 150 tomorrow. I think he's gonna be excited. And now he's like, yeah, I'm looking for minimum 150 to 180. And then knowing these companies, he's gonna get 200 plus for some of these. So I'm gonna have to break the news to my client. It's already past 7 p.m. I'm not sure if I can even talk to them, but Oh my God, just getting these engineers, like finding good engineers is one thing, but being able to close them is a whole nother thing. And I know I don't really have a lot to work with because my client doesn't have that much wiggle room. So, oh my gosh, usually I would have a little bit more of a glimmer of hope here, but in this case, it's going to require a lot of maneuvering and something crazy, like he gets rejected from all these other companies. That's the only way that he'll be able to accept my client. I'm gonna do my best to have him focus on the small startup vibe that he really wants, but at the end of the day, he's talking to Google, he's talking to Gemini, Coinbase, Bloomberg. These are like dream companies for most people, and so that combined with a very strong package, it's hard to say no, and I don't blame them, but it's gonna be another tough one. We'll see what we can do. Happy Friday morning. Got a couple updates to share with you. Number one, the engineer that I was talking to you about that is now, we discovered, in process with so many other ridiculous companies like Google, Amazon, Coinbase, Gemini, etc., has talked to my client last night, and apparently they extended an offer to him, which is absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, I think the terms that they came out with are now his rock bottom, and I think all the other companies that he's now interviewing are gonna be coming in a lot higher. So situations like this, I would love to first of all know like what my client is willing to do and is able to do, like how much are we able to still play with in terms of leverage to help negotiate. And if they can't do anything, it's all about really just focusing on the differences between the opportunities. My candidate is coming out of a bank, and my client is like a small startup, but within a big company. And I think that really appealed to my candidate when I first spoke with him, because he wants something different. He wants to join a startup, but one that's also stable. And it's best of both worlds. You can experience the rapid kind of environment and culture of an early stage startup, but one that's incubated and funded by a big company. However, with that said though, and even though he wanted something different, when you're in process with Google and Amazons of the world, it's very easy just to kind of throw everything out the window or completely forget exactly what was really important for you, because these brands are flashy, everyone knows them. If you're in tech, everyone wants to either work at these companies either as a dream job or wants to experience working at these companies at least once in their career. And if you're young, like my candidate is kind of a junior, kind of mid-level candidate, not senior, it's easy to be swayed by the flashy big brands and also like the ridiculous, very generous kind of financial packages that he'll be getting. So it's gonna come down to like the strongest package. I will do my best to really have him focus on the main kind of unique differentiators between my client, how it can separate differently from the other like big companies of the world, and how ultimately like he wanted to really join a startup. But with that said, if you're talking to tier 1 companies with immense brand recognition and you're expecting a significantly larger financial package, like what would you do? Like if you were in my candidate's shoes, what would you do? I think it's very easy to say, oh yeah, like I know what I want. It's gonna be easy for me to reject Google, reject Facebook, or reject Gemini, Coinbase, especially if you're into crypto. But it's easier said than done if you're in that situation. So again, it's gonna be like another case study of my client possibly losing another engineer. Even I think at this point, if they can go up higher, I mean, I think it can kind of make a difference, but it's just tough. It's just tough. And not to mention that because they're bigger companies, a lot of these interview processes happen much longer. So even if you want to see like all those processes through, it's not gonna be done for another 2-3 weeks. And I don't think my client is happy, nor are they willing to wait that much time for someone to make a decision. In an ideal scenario, if you're a company and you're interviewing someone, you want to see commitment, you want to see passion, you want to see speed, you want to see clear decision making from the candidates. And even though they may come off saying, oh, you're my number one choice, but I need 3 to 4 weeks to decide, that doesn't really come off as high commitment or excitement. So I'm gonna see what I can do. I can't really push this too hard. I think if my client can come up a little bit higher, I'll try that. If they can give them more of a deadline to make a decision, just to give a little bit pressure so they don't have to wait 3 to 4 weeks. You may think that's a little bit aggressive, but at the end of the day, it's best for everyone. Like my client wants to know sooner than later if it's a yay or nay. And for my candidate, like honestly, even though he's saying he likes my client, I think he's just really just trying his best to kind of keep all the other options open. And so, by having a deadline, he'll have to really choose and think about internally, like how much do I actually like this opportunity versus the Google? And do I really want to join the Googles of the world? We'll see what happens. It's not going to be an easy one, but always up for a challenge. So we'll see. Oh my God, this is insane. So I had a product analytics manager candidate that was in process with my kind of Uber for aviation company. And as you've been watching, and if you've been watching, you know that it's been a rocky start from day one. You know, in the beginning, I was head over heels excited to engage with this client. A lot of open roles, you know, just overall great experience. But it turned rocky very, very quickly with them just constantly changing the processes, adding, moving stakeholders, interviewers, adding case studies. It just made for a wild, subpar candidate experience. And I had this one candidate that was in process. He had a wonderful first round. And then he also had a couple interviews today. And then after that, it's done, it's final. He was interviewing for a product analyst manager. And what happened this morning, earlier today, is that my client sent my candidate an email saying, hey, we're excited to chat with you. This is for a BI analyst role. And then immediately my candidate called me. He's like, hey, what's going on with this? Because, you know, it was my impression that we've been talking and I want to interview with your client for the product analyst manager. The BI analyst role is actually a step back in my career, and all the other interviews I'm in, it's for at least an analytics manager or beyond. Like, what's going on? And then I thought it really wasn't a big deal. I think it could have been a simple mistake. People got their wires crossed internally. So I'm like, you know what? Let me get back to the client and talk to them and just clear this up. Everything should be fine. But what happened was that before I was able to hear back from my client, I saw this email from my candidate emailing all the stakeholders that he's about to talk to today saying he's withdrawing. And I was shocked when I read that. I'm like, you're really going to pull out of an interview process because of this? And it's honestly a simple misunderstanding. It's in no way of my client playing games. I think, again, they have so many open roles. They just got their wires crossed. Again, it doesn't look good that they've done this, but it's usually easy fix. I emailed my candidate, I texted him, I just heard back today. He explained himself saying, hey, I stand by my decision. I don't want to reschedule. To give you a little context, like how I reacted was the way that it did, because this actually happened to me before in other interviews where I would interview with the company, I would get so far, I'd invest a lot of time, and then almost a switch bait where he would basically get hired or be given an offer for a completely different position. And I think that just hurt him and confused him and made him angry so much that, like, when the same thing happened with my client, even though I believe it's an honest mistake, it triggered him big time. And then he's like, I don't even want to have anything to do with it. And so, like, I'm gonna try to save this, but he's already emailed my clients for him to actually resend and go interviews again. It's now just gonna be awkward. So I think we lost this one as well. I totally understand where he's coming from. I respond to him saying, hey, I totally get it. Like, if I were you, I'd probably do the same thing. But you know, please, at least I wish you just gave me a heads up instead of me finding out at the same time as these stakeholders, because like I have a relationship with this candidate. Any big decision, you know, let's talk about it first and then we can decide the best way moving forward, because now obviously I wasn't too happy about this. My client's not too happy about this. And also it kind of affects my client's relationship with me. They're like, hey, if your candidate was a flight risk, you should have kind of give us a heads up, like what's going on. So it's just like a big drama that just happened out of the blue on a Friday. Not the best way to start a day nor end the week. I don't think that we can kind of save this. So, you know, with this, right after I talked to you about the engineer, it's like we're losing so many offers like this month. And I'm trying my best to push, but sometimes it's out of your control when clients aren't willing to meet in the middle, or when candidates are just, you know, withdrawing no matter how hard you try to make sure every experience is possible. But this is also just a big mess up of my client. Like, historically, from my experience, it's not been an easy ride with them. And now they're just like sending out confirmation emails with the wrong job title. Like, I don't know what is going on here. Not really too happy about this, because, you know, we're also in the trenches fighting for them, making them look good, selling the opportunity. And the least, you know, I expect of the people I work with, the companies I work with, are that they can continue what I do in terms of like maintaining and really creating a positive candidate expectations and experience all the way to the finish. So I'm gonna try to see if I can maybe hop on the phone with them and just discuss like what went wrong, but not a good scenario to be in. But despite that, you know, still have to be positive with recruiting. Anything can happen, as you can see, and you just gotta take the punches and do the best that you can. But in terms of today, like, feeling a little bit tired today, but it's okay. Got my white tea here, probably gonna have some coffee a little bit later. Have a good number of like about like 12 candidate calls today, about 6 interviews, so that's pretty solid. Haven't heard a lot of feedback from my clients this week, which is a little frustrating. I like it when things are moving very, very fast, when I can get feedback on a candidate so we know exactly if they're rejected or they're moving forward. So I just have to constantly follow up with them, which is, not ideal, a little bit annoying, but it comes with the territory of being a recruiter. I get it. Hiring managers and recruiters internally are busy, but at the end of the day, it's a very competitive market. If they want to hire, they got to move fast and be decisive. So I'm here to kind of kindly remind them and hope we can kind of push this forward. But yeah, we'll see. I have a good number of interviews today, a bunch of candidate calls I'm excited to talk with, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But fingers crossed, and hoping that we can continue to make this day great and finish this week off on a positive note, because I could use some good news right about now, and I'm trying my best. So let's keep going. So just as I suspected, I heard back from my client that extended the offer to my software engineer candidate. She spoke with him yesterday, just gave me a little bit more insight, and basically it's exactly kind of how I felt. Like, she's just not really sure why he's excited both in them and in Google. I totally get it. Coming into this, I think if Google was not in the picture, it'd be a lot more simple and clear cut for my candidate. He'd be like, yes, client, love you, I want to work with you. But as soon as these big companies, Facebook, Amazon, Google, Apple, Google comes into play, like, it's distracting, it's flashy, it's sexy, everyone knows them. For many people, as I mentioned, it's a dream job. And of course, like, if they're in process, for most people, it's hard to stop that process prematurely. Of course, you want to see what happens when you're in process with any of these companies. And that's exactly what's happening here. My candidate initially is like, I want to work at smaller companies because I work at a bank. And then now he's interviewing with Google. And the only reason why is because it's Google, and they have the brand recognition. They also have a much higher and bigger financial package that they can offer. Combine those two together, whatever your thought process or your opinion was before the interview, that's going to change. And that's exactly what's happening here. And I heard back from my client, and they're like, hey, we expanded the offer and we were hoping that he can shut down his search and take ours, but he's gonna get a higher salary and a bigger brand recognition with all these other companies. So of course, like, if I was him, I'd probably do the same thing. He's just, being strategic and just keeping options open as much as possible, as much as he likes our client. So we're going to follow up with him, see what happens next week, but it's gonna be a miracle. It's gonna take a lot for him to walk away from these companies. I think if he got rejected from every single one, that's like one scenario, which I don't think is gonna happen. Or, he wakes up one day, he's like, you know what? I really, really, really want to work at smaller companies. And, the client here, I'm willing to even take a pay cut to join this, but it's a tough one to swallow here. I will continue to do my best. I know my client can't do anything more with salary. So I'm really just gonna have to kind of focus on what he can get, how this experience is different working at a smaller company versus a giant behemoth. How, he just doesn't want to be just another cog in the wheel. That can only go so far if the delta is so big, for example, just on financial comp, and you get that, tier 1 tech brand recognition. So not the best news. It just basically validated everything I thought and felt earlier. I'm gonna try to follow up with my candidate independently and just kind of feel him out to see where he stands. But it's not gonna be an easy one. Just had 2 candidate calls. My Friday morning is underway. Gonna be focused and sourcing for product managers, but talking to a lot of different great candidates today across product and strategy, engineering, marketing. So it should be a good day.
So the conversation was good. They offered me the job, which is very great. They gave me 160 base, and then they gave me like 40K split in the next 4 years, but the vesting cycle isn't the greatest. It's 5%, 15%, 40%, 40%. And then they also gave me 40K for milestones.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know that the base came out a lot higher than what you initially proposed to me. I think you said that for the right opportunity, you'd be looking for like at least like 140 or higher. Has that changed because of your other interviews?
It has, and also because I got a substantial raise in my current job right now. So
gotcha. And then so you said that you're trying to negotiate, which I think is great. That's definitely something we can help with. They came out with 160. Like, have you gone back to them? Like, what would be like an ideal kind of number for you?
I'm thinking of coming back. So they did like 160 and then 40 and 40 for the different equities. So I'm thinking maybe asking for 170 and then bumping one of the 40s for the milestone into potentially like 70 for milestones.
Which I know that I just want to be transparent. Like, they're going to they pay very, very well, but even the finances aside, I'm surprised that like you want to continue chatting with them, because I know that, you wanted to really change things up and work at a smaller company, but all of these are basically kind of the same environment that you're coming out of right now. So are you proceeding only because like, hey, like these are just great brand recognition companies?
Yeah, so a little mix of both. So I spent a good chunk of time like studying and preparing for these interviews. So now that I'm like this close to the finish line, I don't want to just stop everything and just cancel all the other interviews. So I definitely want to finish that process out. You
can argue that every single one of the companies are leading innovation in their own way. I think if you're serious about them, then of course, like, yeah, it totally makes sense to negotiate. But if you're kind of just trying to keep your options open, wait for a higher offer and take that.
I do really find the company and the work culture that they have really great. But I definitely need to see how I'm valued in the market. And I think that's important for me to finish up all of the processes that I've started.
In this scenario, a good tactic is try to pull back. And at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, if the money is the most important thing for you, you should just stop interviewing with my client right now and just go interview and finish up with Google. And then he said, yeah, salary is important, but I still genuinely believe in your client. Would love to see if maybe there's equity involved. So there's still a glimmer of hope. I am still being cautiously optimistic, but not enough for me to be like, yeah, this can actually turn and tip the waves and go in the other direction. He told me that he initially wanted a smaller company, but now that has evolved into working with companies that are driving innovation. And that's basically, you can argue every single company he's interviewing at right now is doing the same thing. Oh my gosh. My client is still alive. I'm going to regroup with them next week. I think they're going to regroup with them next week as well. And he's just going to continue to go into process and finish process with all these other big companies. And I am just waiting for these ridiculous packages to come out. I'm surprised actually my client came up to 160. I think they initially told me 150, but they're really stretching. I don't know if they can go up much higher than that, to be honest. And I don't know what they could do with the whole equity thing. So we'll see what happens. Again, a lot of things can change once you start interviewing with one or multiple companies. Once you start getting a value of where you are, then that can blow things out of the roof. And then if you're talking to these big companies, then yeah, you're like, wow, I thought my value in the market was here. Now my value in the market's here. And that's great for the big companies that can afford the candidates, but not great for the smaller companies that might be uniquely better in terms of everything else the candidate might be looking for in the career, but they just can't match the salary. And I know salary is not everything for a lot of people, but it talks a lot, especially the difference is significant. So I just try to be real. I try to take it away. I can't really push so much. I'm just trying to understand his thought process. He seems to have his head pretty well on his shoulders here. And yeah, he's in a good situation. It's obviously a very important position for him as he's making a very big decision for himself and his career. So I get that, but does not help my client to be in the situation. Kudos to them for actually stretching a little bit more on salary, but let's see if they can do a little more. And we'll see how this continues to evolve as he responds back once he receives the term. So no big changes there. Just another reminder that we might lose this might not happen, and we'll go from there. But his kind of gut feeling is he would love to see if you guys have any more wiggle room on the salary. If not, he definitely wants to focus a little bit more on the equity portion of it. So just FYI, I don't exactly know what he's going to ask for.
I would say if we add on 5K, I think we'd be down to add it on if that would get him to shut it down, the rest of the stuff, and take off. Or if he's if we're gonna add on money and he's still gonna go through all these processes, then I don't. But if that's what it'll take to get him to shut it down and accept, then we can definitely add on a little something. I just don't want to do this whole back and forth game with him and then have him, even if we are able to move on offer and then still have him pass. Like, it's just like, let's talk. I'm happy to have those conversations with him, but like once he's like serious about actually like taking an offer.
Yeah, but like, the thing is, like, this happens all the time in our industry. Like, people start interview processes. They're like, I want something smaller. I don't care about Google. And then, oh, Google's talking to me. Most wouldn't, right? And if anything, most would want a finished process. So it's just annoying because this is like the second time this has happened.
It's like, why? Like, we want candidates to be excited about us too. Like, and what we're doing, and to compare us or to be like, oh, well, like, I'm talking to Google, like, how close to this offer can you get?
Oh boy. Okay, so, I was just kind of talking with my hiring manager, the recruiter at my client, and, we're just kind of thinking outside the box, like, what can we do more? And I totally get it. It's the same stance that she had with the previous candidate that's in process with Google. Like, they don't want to be a last choice. They want someone to be like, you know what, even though I'm interviewing with Google, I don't need to wait for the offer. I can even preemptively shut that down and accept you guys. But this is the second time it's happening, and they just have to understand that this will happen again. We have to like find ways that, instead of just saying, we want to find better people, like, what can we do to prevent this situation? Or what can we do to close candidates that are in this situation better than what we were able to do in the past? And I think if we're able to obviously be as competitive as possible, and then possibly even, like I mentioned, like add a deadline, like don't wait for someone 3-4 weeks to end a process with Google. If that's what the candidate wants to do, give them a deadline so that they have to decide, what they actually want to do. Other than that, like, it's tough. This is always going to be a battle with engineers or just any good technical talent in this market. If you find someone that is good, most likely they will be talking to other companies, and there's a good chance some of these other companies will be the FANGs, the Facebook, Amazon, Apples, Microsoft, Netflix, and Google of the world. And it's just a little frustrating that these companies, obviously, they can just literally buy talent, just throwing salaries extremely off market, and smaller companies just have a hard time going after the same talent. Or like, can we think of other ways? Can we be creative to keep the candidates engaged, to really make them understand the differences, what they're going to be walking away from if they accept a position at Google? I'm not hating on Google in any other way, but I do know that Google and Apple and Amazon, these are just really well-known and respected brands. And for many people, this will be their dream job, either for a short midterm or for the rest of their career. And it's hard to stay objective when you're thinking about these big brands versus like, another really well-respected tech company, but it's not at their caliber. How can we sway? How can we engage other than compensation and equity and salary, and just focusing on like the intangibles to help people and remind them of the choice that they're making? Unfortunately, it's not an easy thing to do, and a lot of people end up going to Google and then they're not happy. They have to resort back and then kind of go back to smaller companies. But, with my candidate specifically, he's coming out of a bank. This is his first tech job. I mean, it would be amazing if his first tech job was Google. Like, that'd be awesome. Like, who wouldn't want to do that? So, oh man, it seems like they can go a little bit higher on equity or salary, but it really depends. And I told this to my candidate. He needs to show good faith, some sort of like, hey, if you can do this, I can do this. But it's right now, hey, can you come up? I still want to interview and finish my interview with Google, and that doesn't make my client feel happy. So we'll see what we can do. I wasn't really expecting to kind of find a resolution conclusion from this, but it just stinks that this could be the second engineer we're going to leave this month because of Google situation. And if you're a recruiter, you're internal, would love to kind of hear what are your favorite tactics or strategies to convert talent to join your client versus the FANGs of the world. I've done this a handful of times, probably less than 10 times in my career, where I was able to get someone to kind of close process with the top FANGs of the world and go with my client. That's less than 10. I can't tell you, there's probably about 100 people that I lost because of FANGs as well. And so it's really, really, really a battle for talent, and it's really kind of a Goliath versus David game, because these big companies have the budget. They can just literally throw as much money as they want to just hire as many people as they want. So it's all about like trying to sell the opportunity more, be creative, think outside the box, be as competitive as possible, and just really be with the candidate every single touch point, providing that full customer service, and just bend over backwards, try to do everything better than process with Google and everything else so that they can always think of your client and company, but you know what, I think I liked and I vibe with this better. Let me make a decision and walk away from Google. So this is not over until it's over, but it's gonna be tough. And so they're gonna circle up next week. I'm gonna circle back next week. We'll see what happens, but All right, it is late afternoon here on a Friday, and it is that time to end yet again another video. I am feeling pretty good, but overall, like, still positive, but not as positive as I could be. We're losing deals left, right, and center, competing against Google, candidates pulling out. It's like, oh my gosh, I had to try my best to stop this bleeding. So we were not able to close another offer this week. We had a close call last week. We had another close call this week. At this rate, I don't know if this can be our biggest month because we keep losing everything. And so this just goes to show, just trying to be as transparent as possible, that whether you're working for yourself, running a business, or you're the recruiter, this is the name of the game. You don't win every single time. For every wins, you have a bunch of losses. And just want to show, like, this is exactly what I go through. I've been through almost every situation you can imagine, but it never gets easier. And I always want to do my best to think outside the box, to help my clients think outside the box, so that we can continue to close and hire great talent with all these companies that we're working with, and make sure, like, the candidate still has a positive experience in it and also afterwards. But you know, after that, we still have 5 more interviews today. Everything is moving forward. This whole week has been kind of dealing and managing the whole, like, interview fiasco of my aviation tech client. Hopefully coming into next week, we can start streamlining things and just making sure that the process is clear every step of the way, and our candidates can have a smooth sailing from the first touch point to the offer. So we have yet to do an offer with the aviation tech on the product roles, hoping to change that sometime soon. If you made this far, I just want to thank you, really, really appreciate it. A lot goes into kind of making these videos, and if you have any questions, anything else that you want to see, please don't hesitate to comment down below. I definitely do my best to read every single comment, and whether I make it in a one-off video or include your questions in a future Weekend Life video, I will do my best. And everyone who reaches out, thank you so much. It always means a lot, and I hope you're doing well. And it's Friday, and I hope if you're watching this, you had a great week and you're planning for another fantastic week where you can crush your goals, and you're as amped as I am to end February off, start March off, and finish off Q1 on a high note. Please consider liking, subscribing, clicking that bell. And if you haven't heard from last video, we made a huge announcement. If you're a recruiter, recruiting professional, just starting out, you're experienced, or you love startups or technologies or entrepreneurism, or you just want to hang out, don't forget to follow and join our free Discord. Again, it's 100% free, FREE. Just another great way to get in touch with me and also collaborate and network with other like-minded individuals, and would love to see you there. But coming into next week, I am still all hands on deck. Like, I want to finish February strong. I want to finish March and Q1 strong, and I really, really, really want to push and try at least do like another 1 to 3 placements. Like, that would absolutely make me completely elated, and would make all this drama and stress and anxiety completely worth it. So we still have an offer that we're battling today, as you saw with my engineer. It's not over until it's over. I'll be syncing with them next week, and I'm hoping that we can kind of pop a couple more offers next week as well. We have a couple candidates simmering into the final round. So just fingers crossed, and just gotta be positive and gotta just be ready to adapt and take on whatever the week's gonna throw at us. So please feel free to comment and reach out to me on YouTube, Discord, Instagram. Would love to hear from you. But it is that time where I'm gonna wrap up, do one more sourcing pass, finish a couple more outstanding emails, and then enjoy and decompress for the weekend, because I definitely need it. This has been a tough month so far, but I'm not going to give up yet. I wanna finish this month off as strong as I can. So hope you are doing well, be safe, be healthy. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.